In this video, we're doing an effect breakdown of In the UK by NLE Choppa. I'm going to be talking about all the effects that were used, the styles and techniques. Welcome back to Sauce Season. This is a series where I upload every single day until the channel hits 100K. So if you're new here and you're not subscribed with that bell notification ring, be sure to do that. You're not going to want to miss any of these uploads. I'm sharing a lot of sauce during this season. So first, to get started, let's just go and hop on YouTube and just watch a few seconds of this footage. You can see there's a lot of clone effects. The backgrounds are moving. There's like this ghost effect. There's flashes, there's shakes. There's just a lot of energy in this style of editing, and that's what it's all about. It's basically all based around clone effects. It's super hard style. I think a lot of people want to learn how to do effects similar to this. So now I want to show you how I was able to make this sequence of effects completely inspired by the style in that video. You can see it's very, very similar editing style. You could probably toss this in the video and it would fit perfectly without anyone really even noticing there's a different editor. So this sequence breakdown is going to be a bit different than all of my other tutorials. It's not going to be as step-by-step. I think a lot of the advanced editors will enjoy this a little bit more because I'm going to be sharing a little bit more conceptual stuff and just the effects and what I did to get there. So for this first clip, there's a lot going on. You can see the background is spinning and falling down with it turning to black and white. There's also some ghosts behind NLE. Towards the end, there is some rays on his jewelry. So let's open up the effects controls and kind of show you what's going on in each layer. On the top layer, it's just the rotoscope with NLE, and there's some sapphire rays here. I keyframe the center of the rays to the center piece of his jewelry here. And then I also halfway through keyframe the length and the brightness of the rays to get a little bit longer and a little bit brighter as the video gets to the end. And then the layer below that is the layer with all of the clones. You can see there's a trail of clones of NLE, and the way you get all of these clones is an effect called echo. I turn it to composite and back, that way it just goes behind each layer. You can see each layer is behind the last, and then the decay I turned to 0.8, and the reason I did that is if you have it at default at 1, you will only see one clone. Decay is basically the rate at which it becomes a little bit more transparent. So if you have it at 0.8, I believe it's getting 20% more transparent every single echo. I have the number of echoes on 10, and I changed the echo time just to be a little closer to them. You can see if you change it more and more negative, the clones will get further and further away. And if you bring it positive, it'll actually be before what's happening. I have it on negative 0.025. And then I added some Gaussian blur just to smooth out those harsh edges. You can see it just makes it look a little bit better. I also added some flicker on. And I think I left the settings completely alone. And then sapphire glow just to give a bit of glow. And then on the layer of the background falling out, you can open up the transform options. The only effect on here is hue and saturation, and I keyframed it just to get less saturated, and it's pretty much completely black and white by the time it gets here. And then I just keyframed the scale, the position, and the rotation, and basically I keyframed it in 3 different spots. So at the beginning, it's completely set to the default settings, and then halfway through I keyframed the scale down to like 87, the rotation to rotate a bit, and I also just keyframed the position of the whole entire clip to kind of go up first. So here I actually keyframed from, you can see if I reset the position to default here, it'd be a bit lower. I keyframed it so it goes up a bit, and then if we go all the way to the end, you can see it finishes that 180-degree rotation. And the only other thing I keyframed there is just the position to fall down like that. So basically with these like gravity kind of clone effects, you basically want 3 sets of keyframes. The original spot, the spot at which it kind of goes up and like hits like that peak spot, you know, when you throw a ball up and it kind of floats at the top just for a second. That's the second keyframe, and then the third keyframe is where it goes off screen. And then behind all of that stuff is just the default clip playing with no effects, nothing keyframed at all. And then for this next sequence here, you can see we have NLE Choppa falling into place. These clones pop up behind him, and then we have the background falling while also getting desaturated, and then his head just pops up, does this rotate thing, and falls down into the next clip. So to get this sequence started, all you have to do to create a transition like this right here is just rotoscope out your clip and remove the background and just have the rotoscope play. And I keyframe the position so he kind of starts up here and then just falls back into the default spot. So if you reset all these keyframes, it will be in the perfect spot. After that, I just rotoed again and keyframed a version of his roto to just go completely off screen. And then I just duplicated the layer and moved the keyframes to the right of it. So it follows the exact same thing, just at different times. And you can see I have it start at different times. And there's just 3 of him kind of popping up like that. And then to end the sequence, I think a lot of people are going to like this one here. I had the background fall out and then his head pop off and fall down like this. And we can go ahead and break down what the keyframes look like for that. I actually wanted the ghost effect to take place just to add a little bit more motion blur. You can see if we click the bottom pre-composed layer, it has all the same effects that we had on the ghost before. And that's the way you can add a ghost effect onto something that isn't moving in the clip. You can animate it yourself and still have that ghost effect. You can see if we turn off all these effects, it doesn't have the ghost effect, and the head obviously wasn't moving in the actual footage. So what you do inside of the pre-comp is you just take a freeze frame, that's what I did, and then you keyframe the position, scale, and rotation. Kind of exactly what I was talking like before. You have basically 3 sets of keyframes, the beginning spot, and for the middle spot, I changed the position to go up. You can see how it kind of goes up, follows that line. And I didn't line the spinning to line up exactly where it hits the top. That way it just kind of keeps spinning as it hits the top and then goes down. So a few frames later, I have it almost a full 360, and then we go a little bit further and I have it past 360 by just a bit. That way it doesn't look too robotic, and obviously it goes off screen. And the reason I had to pre-compose it, I'll show you here in a second. If you copy and paste all of those ghost effects and go to this layer here, it's not actually going to have the ghost follow the motion that you animated. So to have the ghost effect follow the thing you animated, pre-compose it, and then that way when you add the echo on, it will actually follow what you have now animated. So that's a kind of cool workaround to have that ghost effect. I've seen people do it where they have the clone move in front of the subject and behind it, and the ghost trail follows, and a lot of people have wondered how to do that. That's how you do it. And then all I did in this clip is rotoscoped out NLE, turned him to black and white, added some flicker, and just keyframed so the flicker it starts intense, gets less intense throughout, and also the rays get less intense throughout. And then lastly, to finish off, I just duplicated that roto again, added rays and hue and saturation. That's what you can see here, the behind the subject rays. Just a little last effect that you can add on. And then I pre-composed all those effects, added some shakes where like the transitions happen, some blurs where I thought looked cool. And I'll kind of show you that real quick. You can see we start off with some kind of directional blur just so it goes into the clip smoothly. I have a radial blur that I keyframed around his chain, and I just tracked the center of his chain here and had it go on for a little bit. And then I keyframed the amplitude of shake with also some Z distance to kind of have it shake when this clone falls in from the ceiling. And then I also keyframed radial blur again, but this time instead of the twist, I had it at zoom. That way it zooms in right on his head before it gets chopped off. And then lastly, I just ended with that same directional blur that I started with. That way when it loops, it just has a nice transition. And that's the whole entire sequence. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this style of a breakdown. It makes these videos a lot faster when I don't have to recreate every single effect, but I can just describe what I'm doing in each sequence. That way, I think a lot more of the advanced editors will really appreciate this because I can explain a lot more without having to actually actively make the effects as well. Let me know if you guys want to see some more like full video sequence breakdowns like something like this in the comments down below. Like I said, I'm going to be uploading every single day, so be sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell ring. As well as if you haven't already liked the video, be sure to do that for the YouTube algorithm. That way this video can get pushed out to a lot more people. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. That's all I got for you guys in this one. Peace!